Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us today. My name is Zornitsa, and I'll be the moderator of this Alumni Talks webinar on behalf of UNIMI. The topic of today's session is the Executive MBA program at EMLYON Business School in France. Let us welcome our panelists, Carlos Lopez Bonilla, Recruitment Manager for the EMBA program at EMLYON, and Asma Wajuzi, an EMLYON alumna and currently an international e-business developer. The online session will start with a brief presentation of the program, followed by a panel discussion in which Asma will share with us more about her EMBA experience and how it contributed to her professional development. At the end of the webinar, there will be a Q&A session in which our panelists will be answering your questions. So if you have any questions, please write them down in the chat box or the Q&A option anytime, and we'll take here the time to address them accordingly. Now I would like to give the word to Carlos to present himself and the EMBA at EMLYON.
Hello, everyone. First, I would like to yet again thank very much Asma for being here today with us. She's a brilliant alumni, participant of the program, and it again, it is a pleasure to see her here. Thank you, Zornitsa, for organizing the event. And as Zornitsa was saying, I am in charge of recruitment for the Executive MBA in Paris specifically. We have two campuses in which we deliver the Executive MBA here in France, of course, the campus Lyon and the campus Paris. Right. So that's my name, that's what I do. And now I would like to take the time to explain briefly, or give you an overview on what the Executive MBA is and how we can actually be followed. All right. And also, there's a format of Executive MBA which is more interesting normally for international profiles. Well, this is what we're going to be speaking about as well. All right. So briefly, our program is divided in two major periods, right? The core courses and the specialization, right? The core courses themselves are subdivided into what we call the business techniques and the business transformation part, right? So this is broadly and structurally what the Executive MBA is going to be looking like. Then within the program, and this is something that we decided to invest, let's say, more resources on. There are basically four dimensions that, yet again, we are very sensitive to. Right. The first one is going to be strategy. Right. This is an Executive MBA, as its sole, let's say, strategy. There is a way, of course, of seeing strategy, and there is maybe a more alternative way to seeing it, which is maybe more interesting in current circumstances. And this is what we like to make an emphasis on through some of our courses like Disruptive Futures or Emerging Business Models. Right? We, of course, analyze and address the basis on the fundamentals. And then, of course, we go deep into this kind of maybe more alternative strategy, way of seeing a strategy, right? The second, right? But this is not just like in order of importance, or it's just because we need to explain it somehow, right? So, second, we're going to have leadership, which is an extremely important part of the Executive MBA. We have an entire track within the Executive MBA dedicated to this subject. This part, leadership, is there and exists not in order to specifically tell our participants how to lead, because that would be extremely self-centered, or participants themselves have a very interesting and very developed leadership styles. We want to make the best out of these leadership styles and allowing them, of course, to benefit from each other. Right? So it is a long track, a very interesting one. Asma is going to be able to tell us more about this. which has to do extremely much with a self-development process, which requires, of course, an introspection, which requires a pretty decent amount of time, okay, because this is not an easy matter. It takes time, and yet again is at the center of the executive MBA as well. Then we're going to have CSR, corporate social responsibility, and we're addressing the more and more sustainability and related subjects. This has always been important to us. Now we see that in a post-COVID era, all these kind of subjects are becoming the more and more important. So, of course, we have all seen what is happening nowadays, and what this current pandemic, let's say, has been detonating in terms of these very matters. So we are putting the more and more emphasis on this, and it again is something we were very sensitive to. Last but not least, of course, the digital. All right, we are investing more and more on the matter. We are basically we depart from the idea that there is nothing that can be delivered without actually bearing in mind this digital transition that we're all experiencing. So the idea is also all the time addressed in the program. All right, always from a strategy perspective and with this same orientation, right? So every single course delivered inside the executive MBA is bearing in mind these subjects I was basically telling you about, these 4 dimensions. Then, structurally speaking, as we were just discussing before, we have these 2 major moments. The business techniques are what basically we understand, or participants or candidates understand as this 360 degrees view on the organization, but not only, of course, because it has to do a lot with the transactional environment and even more with the contextual environment. All right, so this is what we're going to see during the first business techniques part. Then we're going to go to the business transformation. It's not then, it's simultaneous, which has to do, again, much more with the strategy implementation. Right? And then we're going to have these specializations. We decided to focus on basically to specialize in, not really on activities within the company, or not within activities inside organizations, because our participants are already recognized experts on these kind of activities within the company. So what we really wanted to address, or what we really wanted for them to better understand, is basically the kind of company in which they are evolving, or in which they would like to evolve, and the position they have, or the position they are willing to have. Right. So this is for us the way to go, and not necessarily reiterating on yet again specific activities for which they have already vast experience on. Right. So we have the corporate executives, the corporate entrepreneurs or intrapreneurs, the managers of small and medium-sized enterprises, and the startup entrepreneurs. All right. Then, well, this is from the what the program is all about. Of course, enriched by the self-development and leadership track, and also the career development track, which has as objective to basically develop a strategic way of seeing our careers. All right. So this is yet again broadly what the program is about. Then there are 2 tracks, 2 possibilities to follow the program. Let's say the classic part-time version, which is 3 days per month during a period of 20 months. And then we have the other version, which is kind of regularly followed by participants who come from other countries, or by people who are in the middle of a transition. And this is the fast track program. Okay, it's exactly the same executive MBA, same amount of hours. It's just that it's condensed in a period of 10 months. Right, so you can expect that these participants following the fast track are requested to be at the campus during something like between 7 and 8 days per month. Right? These are, of course, full days. They tend to start early in the morning and finish late in the evening, between 6 and 8, depending. And yeah, basically this is the way it is. Some candidates ask me often, well, this is 3 days per month. It's not really that heavy. It sounds like it's just okay, or the fast track. Oh yeah, it's just 7 days per month. It's going to be fine. Asma is going to tell you what this really means in terms of workload. All right. So this is yet again what the program is about, and I also tell you by experience, I've had the opportunity to follow part of the executive MBA, and I can already tell you that it's extremely intense, and it is the way it is supposed to be. We wouldn't want for it to be any different or any less heavy or complex, right? So. Yes, I think I've taken more than enough time to explain these, and now, Asma, please, if you can tell us more about yourself, and then we're going to ask you, of course, some questions about your experience in the program and so on.
Thank you, Carlos. Thank you for your explanations, very clear as usual. Thank you, Zornitza, for inviting me or organizing this webinar. I would start with a short introduction of myself and my background, and then, of course, I will be delighted to speak about my experience about the executive MBA that I'm attending at EMLYON. I'm a PhD pharmacist as an academical background. I used to work in the pharmaceutical field, a very chemical and scientific one, before joining a European leader on the e-pharmacy as a country manager for France. I joined the experience, or let's say the adventure, of the EMBA 2 years ago, so at the end of the MBA cycle. And yes, I was smiling, almost laughing when you spoke about the workload. Of course, seeing it from outside, okay, just a long weekend a month is going to be more than fine. First, I would like to say and congratulate each person thinking about an EMBA. This is an adventure, as I said, and it's a decision of getting out of its comfort zone, and it's just the expression of the need of change. Obviously, it's an academic training, let's say, or courses, depending on the expectation of each one, and the expectation can vary as much as the number of people attending this program. It could be because we would like to reach a language references. I have to admit, before the EMBA, when I was speaking to businessmen, when I was speaking to my CEO, I could see sometimes that I wasn't as of interest for him, even if what I was seeing was more than accurate from my perspective. I was providing figures, but I didn't have the languages that he would listen to, or I would attract businessmen with, or investors. The EMBA is first providing a tool case to be able to speak with the right persons, to attract their attention, and to have appropriate wording in your field, in your business, in your daily working and professional life. this could be the first expectation. But all in all, the EMBA is a change experience. This is why it lasts for a while. Of course, we have the fast track program, which lasts for less than 12 months, around 10 months, right? Like you described it, Carlos. It's more, I think, for internationals or people that intended to block 1 year to have an experience, to discover France or whatever, and to dedicate 100% of their time to the MBA. Of course, it is super interesting. It's super intensive. I will explain why, and it's super challenging. I went for the executive formula because I used to work. So of course, if you would like to manage to have a professional life, keep a small proportion of personal life, it's important. And to dig into this experience, you need to manage it. And as far as we all have 7 days a week and 24 hours per day, you need to find space for everything. But what everyone should be aware of is this is a change experience. Of course, we will receive, and each one receives tons of informations. And as Carlos explained, it's super diversified. For people coming from a scientific background, I have no basis in finance, no basis in legal, no basis in CSR. Although I have to confess, in the beginning, I was like, hey, give me finance and leave me alone. Why are you bothering me with all this development and co-development and leadership things? But the EMBA is a change experience. You can't expect that the school and all the programs makes everything for you. Everyone has a personal experience with the EMBA, and each person, depending on her or his background, her or his expectations, her or his experience, professional experience, her or his personality, lives this experience in a different way. I used to have just some academic and theoretical expectations. I work like, give me the hard skills. I need to know how to read a P&L. I need to know how to make a business plan. I need to learn how to master perfectly and be able to speak with my financial guy. And what I found is, no, Asma, first, you need to understand that you need to work on yourself, on your way of behaving. And thanks to the MBA, I have to say, I took the time and I have been forced to dig into myself. And I understood that the verbal communication is just 10% of the full message. All the rest is done by the soft skills. And this is why all the co-development courses, and you have hours, tons of hours of work at the school, but also personal work you have to do on yourself. You will know that within the change, you have 7 steps. The first one, and the most critical, is to be aware of the current situation and that the gain is bigger than the pain and that you have to work on it. And nobody can do it at your position. You have to do it yourself. This is why it takes time, because you need to be aware of your current situation, the change you need, where you would like to go, what you want and you need to achieve. And then you start the work. And you cannot change a person, neither a process in 1 month, neither in 1 year, to make it sustainable. This is basically why this experience is super interesting, but also super challenging. You don't get anything for nothing, right? So you always need sacrifices. This is what I can say from your side, and I am more than happy to answer to extra questions, if any.
Carlos, your microphone is off.
Sorry. I was just saying that thank you very much, Asma. Again, a very inspiring testimonial, and I've seen you, of course, since we started speaking for the first time, and I've seen this progression, of course, and I also see everybody else, and you were speaking, you were making an emphasis on the fact that this is an experience. And it is true, completely true. This is something that I would say every single participant would say, and it is indeed designed to be this milestone experience. Could you tell us a bit more about the participants themselves? Because the executive MBA, of course, has a design. There are all the professors. There is all the ecosystem and plenty of things. But a huge value of an executive MBA, has to do with the people who follow the executive MBA. And often, when I speak with candidates, they tell me, so there is a fast track and there is a part-time, right? So will I be with the same people all the time? Will we be the same, I don't know, from 6 to 10 people? How would it be? How does this happen?
Yeah, your question is amazing. I could talk about both hours, so please canalize me and give time. So it's a super experience, and it was also one of the reasons why I have chosen EMLYON as a school. Of course, as I said, you come for an MBA because you need change and you need to have extra information and hard skills, but the other motivation is to build a solid network. And honestly, each candidate has at least applied for 2 or 3 schools. Of course, we have a couple of schools and the requirements are different. The entry barriers are different. The program is more or less, let's say, with the same content, but what's changing and what is super impacting is how you live it every day. What motivated my choice, honestly, for the EMLYON, I was looking because honestly, I already have my network. No one would like to imitate it. The more you get, the more is better, but you have to be able, or you need to be in an environment, let's say network friendly. I did want in the beginning to apply to HEC INSEAD. Yes, of course, they are the most prestigious EMBA. Regardless of the price, you see that networking doesn't mean the same. At EMLYON, we have the alumni, we are like a family. We personally appreciate and know each other. Of course, you cannot appreciate everyone, but at least there is a very solid link. We are like a small family. We all know where we live, our places. We used to organize. I mean, Carlos, your Paris law, thank you, organizing a couple of events. This is a super friendly school, but this enhanced extra links between us. And this is the strength of the EM. I know tomorrow or after tomorrow, I mean, I have like 50 very close people now, thanks to EMLYON. And if I have something in a field, I will just take up my phone. And if I don't have time, even a WhatsApp message. And I know that those people will do their utmost possible to help me without expecting anything in exchange immediately. So it's really like a glue. EMLYON is working like a glue to enhance the relationship between people. And I have to say, I mean, I knew the people 1.5 years ago, and I know it's a very solid network because with the courses, we used to see each other every month. And now that we are in the 2nd year with specialization, we are now split into different groups. We are not always at the same places, but we succeeded to organize some off or extra events to meet each other, even within the COVID situation, of course, respecting safety rules. But yeah, we're like, yeah, it's almost going to the end, but I will miss all the restaurants we had. Come to my house, I'm organizing something for 4 people. And we became friends. Of course, we are not always super friends with 100 people, but at least with 50, the link is very strong. It's personal, of course, because we had very challenging moments. And you know that the best relationship you build is in challenging moments. We all faced the same challenge, combining our professional life, personal life, and our student life. And we became all stronger. And this is how the strong network were built. And exactly why EMLYON, because I won't say anything bad on HEC or INSEAD. At EMLYON, you feel like VIPs. We have an academic responsible like Carlos and Svetlana. We are really treated like VIP. And you see it if you apply to other schools, they are super reactive. I mean, I personally have the experience. Actually, it's something I should take, I should work on. I decided at the very last moment, it's not an example, maybe I shouldn't say it, Carlos, but I decided like at the very last moment that I should apply for an MBA. I was like, Carlos, I would like to come. And he was like, Asma, it's in 1 month, but we're gonna make it. And it happens. This is what was beautiful. When I applied to other schools, they were like, hey, no, you need to wait. I will come back to you. And 2 months later, they were like, oh, I'm sorry, I couldn't answer. And I was like, no, thank you. I think I found my best partner. And at EM, they are super reactive, really willing to help. Like it's a customized solution whenever they can. We faced all this global crisis with the COVID, and Carlos and Svetlana were here able to help whenever they could, even if they had as tough life as each of us had. You see and you feel like people are really listening to us, trying their best to make our experience and our months and years as easy as possible. And this is what really makes a difference from my perspective. Thank you for that, by the way, Carlos. I didn't have the chance to say it, I think.
It has been a great pleasure, really. That's the objective. It is a very intense experience. If we can do something in order to make it,
Yeah,
faster.
But I would like to focus on the experience, because people think that okay, I'm gonna take a fast track, it's only 7 days, but once again, it's 7 days of appetizer. I consider what you are doing in class, it's really appetizers, and it definitely works, because you're like, for CSR, for instance, from my perspective, I was like, okay, let's respect the environment, it's gonna be fine, but you go deeper into concrete things, and then you touch almost, okay, here is the pain point and I need to work on it. But before starting working, you need to deep dive on it and to customize it to your situation. And this is a huge work for each lecture you have. Even though I was in an executive part, so as you may think, only 3 intensive days a week, but it is intensive appetizers, and you have to do a pre-work. It doesn't make sense to attend a course if you have not any clue about the pre-work, or you haven't read the articles I recommended, or you haven't have a look. You are here to interact and to take the advantage of interaction between your classmates and the learners, the professors, if I could call it like this. So it's definitely super intensive, and as a matter of transparency, you are entering. This is a message to each one who would like applying for an MBA, whatever the school or the program to attend. You need to have a gentleman agreement between you and your family. First you need to be aware, and they really need to be aware that they need to support you. Just a gentleman agreement saying, hey, you know what, I'm entering into a tunnel. It's really a funnel. I will be out of it in 1.5 years. So do not expect that much from me on a daily basis. In the weekend, I need at least 1.5 days, meaning 70% of your weekend for your personal work. If you have kids, please expect to take care of them. For vacation, it will be 1 week instead of 2 or 3 in summer. And the only family events I will attend will be Christmas, just to give an example, because you need to prioritize. And honestly, you cannot do it partially. So either you go or you don't go. And this is an advice from my side, and this is the best way to live it. And then afterwards, obviously, everyone is or her background and her experience and expectations, but you need, as a matter of transparency, to inform everyone on your near circle, your employer, obviously, first, to manage their expectations within this period of time, your close family, and your friends and flows. This is mandatory before any starts, and this is really critical for making this experience as much viable, possible, and plausible in your life, because it's not a matter of 1 month, it's 1.5 years, and it's a couple of months.
Thank you very much for this. And Sonita, would you have some questions? I mean, I see there are a couple of questions that are being asked.
Yes, we already do have a few questions. The first one is for you, Carlos, I think. Would you please let us know what is the minimum work experience requirement and whether people from various industries and company sizes can apply, for instance, a family business?
Absolutely, yes. The requirement is 7 years of work experience, minimum, and we also bear in mind some years of management. The management, of course, can be management of people, or it can also be project management, or it depends. We will analyze the profiles, but of course, the minimum is the 7 years of work experience. Then the participants' work experience range from 7 years up to 20, 25 years, depending. And the industries where they are coming from are also extremely diverse. I mean, varying from pharmaceutical to cybersecurity to well, you name it. What else? The car manufacturing industry. I have some people from the defense industry this year. E-commerce, retailing, e-tailing, you name it. And the size of the companies also they're coming from ranges from startups to big multinationals. Right? And it again, the objective, of course, is to promote this kind of diversity, which makes, I mean, a huge part of the experience. The objective is to expose the participant to as many as possible ways of thinking, and many different ways of doing businesses. There's a very interesting thing that happens in the program, is the fact that is delivered in Lyon and in Paris. So there are moments in the year in which some participants will be meeting also the participants in Lyon. There are different moments, and then during the moment of the specialization also there are a couple of specializations which are delivered in Lyon. And if that is the case, we take it, we bring the participants from Paris to Lyon to follow the specialization there. There are some elective courses as well that can be chosen, which are happening also in Lyon, that also allow this possibility, this kind of interaction. Is it, Asma, have you had the opportunity also, right, to go to Lyon and meet the people in Lyon and also each other?
Yes, absolutely. It's more occurring in the second year of specialization. The first one, we are still on the initial campus, and also which is at the bridge, the specialization taking place in Lyon. So yeah, it's amazing. It's another campus and another opportunity to meet more people, because it's different cohort, and we are mixed with other cohorts, with a fast track or Lyon cohorts, and both international, national, fast track, and executive. So it's a new opportunity to network, and it's also discovering in another campus with new and extra facilities, extra professors and learners, and new services. And the good thing is that the transports and housing are already a part of the tuition fees, so it's perfect for us. There's no extra fees for that. It's on campus, so it's super interesting. And also to visit some local. Of course, we have sometimes some internship, and we will have a learning trip. Depending on the specialization, it's something we didn't speak about, but it's important also to discover to discover your competitive external environment and the cohesion, how people used to work, and it's the opportunity to put into practice what you learn. And once again, if you meet extra people and extra environment, it's all that what can avoid you to make the same mistakes that they did, or help you to have a wider view or on what you can do, or what you can better do, and what is feasible and that you have never thought about. It's more, or it's another means for enriching the experience and living it another way.
Absolutely, yes. You were mentioning the learning trips, and yes, well, as you can imagine, the last year was a little complex on what has to do with traveling, so we needed to postpone the learning trips to this year. So they will be normally happening if everything goes as planned, of course. It will normally be the case, but these circumstances are a little weird nowadays. But the objective, as Asma was saying, is what you were describing, and every year we basically make the best out of a specific location in the world. We want for the participants to benefit as much as possible from these kind of business environments. So just to give you an idea, quickly over the last couple of years, the corporate executives went to China, to Shanghai, met some of the participants who follow the executive MBA also over there at our campus in Shanghai. The corporate entrepreneurs, they were at the Silicon Valley in the past. This year they were supposed to Boston. Couldn't happen, so we'll do something different soon. The managers of a small, medium-sized enterprises, they went to Stuttgart a couple of years ago. This year was supposed to be Montreal in Canada, and now it will be most probably something different, but not completely certain. We might keep the destination of Canada. And the entrepreneurs, they have it at the Silicon Valley before. Then this year, we analyzed all the possibilities that are very interesting destinations, the more and more for the subject of entrepreneurship and everything around. Some places in India, for example, Bangalore is an extremely interesting place. But there are possibilities, and yet again, every year we choose a location depending on what is best to enrich the specialization.
It sounds rather like a really enriching experience. And since we are on the topic of locations and destinations, I wanted to ask you, because Asma chose to stay in the Paris campus, but there's also one in Lyon. Is there a difference between the programs in each of them? Is the faculty the same? Are the hands-on experiences the same?
It's a common question that I have as well from candidates. Is the executive MBA is the same in Lyon or in Paris? The professors who are teaching in Lyon are the same ones who are teaching in Paris, and the ones, and vice versa, because some of them live in Lyon, some of them live in Paris, some of them live in Switzerland and other countries, not the UK. We have professors from different places in the board as well, who are coming and teaching. So this is why basically the Executive MBA Paris has courses 1 week, and the next week the ones in Lyon have the same course. So it's the same. Right? What is I would say a little different is the group participants in Paris. They tend to come from maybe a little bigger organizations, more corporate oriented. Whether in Lyon we have many more participants from small and medium-sized enterprises. This specialization, management of SMEs, is way more demanded by participants following the executive MBA at the campus Lyon. So that's the I would say the only difference. Would you agree with me, Asma, or would?
Totally, I wouldn't say it. Yes, it's definitely a matter of location. This is why, by the way, the bridges or specialization are located in one part instead that another. SMEs and entrepreneurs are mostly in Lyon, and sometimes corporate, correct me if I'm wrong, they have more courses in Paris and elsewhere than in other campuses. It's an adaptation to the external environment, once again, and this is what we learn at school. You have to adapt to your customers and you have to adapt to your external environment. So yes, basically it's a very dynamic region, Lyon, for SMEs. This is why the bridge is there, and if you'd like to build your network, it's also the right place for entrepreneurship. I think it's different, but what makes it more interesting, and to put it at Lyon, is because the school has its own incubator for entrepreneurs and new startups. This is why it is there, because if there is an interesting idea or a very motivated startupper with new idea, he can or she can immediately join the school's incubator and accelerator, and the product is it's an opportunity to make the startup grow and to have the proper environment, the proper support not only the financial one, but also and most of all the strategic one from the school professors. And this is super critical at the start of any startup.
True, absolutely, yes. This is a very important fact. You know, we have a very important incubator which was born in Lyon in 1985, if I'm not mistaken. So it has been a while, and is very well implanted in the environment. We have part of the incubator also in Paris. It's a small part because part of the let's say part of the offer of incubation has to do a lot with location, with physical location, and well, we have a little more space, let's say, in Lyon than what we have in Paris at this stage, of course, because this tends to evolve, of course, positively. At some point, we will need the more and more space. It is the case. It is the case already. The campus in Paris was built basically 7 years ago, if I'm not mistaken. This is the 7th year. And now we just opened a new branch of the campus, some like 300 meters far away from this one, in order to host all the participants from other programs. So yeah, this is you were saying something there, right? As well, the objective is to benefit from the business and environment. Well, this is what I pretty much wanted to say. You had something additional to your question, Srenica, that I'm not.
Yes, I was now wondering, what about the language? I think both in Lyon and Paris, the program is taught in English, but wasn't there an additional option in Lyon?
You're right. You're right. Lyon has the possibility for the program to be followed entirely in French.
Yeah. All right. This might be interesting to some of our attendees.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's either one or the other. Because this is a question that I also have often. Is it like a mix? No, it is not. There has to be courses are delivered either in English, either in French, and a mix is not the greatest idea, honestly, because if that's the case, you need to be completely fluent in both languages. So that's what I can tell you.
Yes.
Please, Asma. Yes.
So sorry, Carlos. Yes, this is a very important point attendees should be aware of. We have two programs, the international and the French one. This is for the first year, but some bridges, some specializations are provided exclusive in English or exclusively in French. So it could be critical for the decision about which specialization to have for international people, so as they are not disappointed or limited in their choices based on the language. But the first year, as for international MBA, it has to be in English. That is the case. And I fully agree with you. Hybrid is cool for automotive industry, but not for the MBA.
Sure.
Thank you, Asma. Well, we have another question.
Yes.
I think we already covered part of it, but it would be nice to sum up. Are there any consultancy projects, internships, or other forms of hands-on experience during the program? I think it would be interesting if Carlos could give us an overview, and probably if Asma could give us some examples of her own experience.
Absolutely, an overview, because honestly, Asma can speak widely about this very subject, and it's going to be much more interesting to listen to what she has to say. Yes, of course, we do have a pretty hands-on experience delivered courses in general, which involve, of course, specific projects. Many of them with existing companies that are being brought to the program by the professors. Internships, no, we do not have an internship for the executive MBA. It's not really the way to go, as far as we understand. We're speaking about strategic top management positions. So we do not have internships. Asma, could you tell us more about the projects you did? Well, there are plenty of nice examples.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, when you enter the EMBA at Lyon, it's like an incubator for your professional life. Although if you didn't choose the startup, because all the lectures, we have assignment for the courses, and you have individual and group assignments. And in most cases, you are asked to take and to work on a real life case. I cannot sum up how many projects I brought into the table and it's actually super interesting because, and this is what makes the school super interesting, because you have different profiles, different personalities, and what you think being your program is you're struggling with all your teams in your company. The school, the EM and the EMBA gives you the opportunity to benefit from free consultancy from other people, your classmates that are working for free, making you taking profit of their experiences, because obviously we all have a busy working life, and what I could have experienced as a challenge in my professional life, somebody else could have lived the same, and I can benefit from what has been done and how they succeeded to solve it, how did they use. And this combined with the information we get from the theoretical course with the teacher. So it's an amazing experience, and it's a super profit you can gain from it. This is for the assignment parts. Regarding the internship, of course, we don't have what we call exactly internship. At Carlos, I consider the learning trip as internships, because we are deep diving and also discovering overseas, let's say, companies, overseas cultures. How do they deal with maybe the same challenges? How do they deal with the culture? Maybe what seems being an issue for us is an opportunity for them, and vice versa. And this is exactly what we learn at school, is how to take advantage of the crisis, of the situation, how to turn a weakness into a strength, a threat into an opportunity, and no one else than your competitors and other person can show you how do they do it. And it's learning by doing, and it's learning by seeing and trying. This is basically what I can say about the MBA experience.
Thanks, Asma. So imagine that everyone now who was listening to us got really very excited and want to apply for EMLYON. What would you share some tips in the application process? How did you prepare? When did you start? How did you prepare for the interview? Were there surprises at the interview?
Honestly, I had a very good surprise. I was surprised by the proactivity of Carlos, because he is the one you will discuss with, of the willingness of the school to make this experience the most feasible, plausible, possible, and the most pleasant one. The school is supporting with your employer, with documentation, with information, even with the all needed information, very available to answer your questions. So, I mean, I would say I did want to have an MBA at a certain point of time, because I had the feeling that I achieved the glass ceiling, and you cannot ask in your professional life for a promotion if you don't have anything in your hand. You cannot say, hey, I have 5-7 years experience now, I need a C-level position, or I would like to discuss my salary. And the first question from your CEO or your CFO or your manager would say, why should I give you this? Okay, you have 7 years. Some other people are in the company for 10 years, and you the business more than you. You have already good salary comparatively to the industry. We are in a global crisis, and I can hire someone else, which costs less expensive. So it's all arguments you have to face. And at a certain point of time, you have to show that you acquired extra informations, you worked on yourself, you started a change in 1 year or 2 years of EMBA, that you sacrificed. It's not easy. You went through this experience, balancing your personal, professional life and your educational life. So you are enough strong, and you developed yourself, and now you have new skills that you would like to see rewarded. And this is basically what an MBA experience offers, just to give you arguments to say, now I need to go further, and I need to cross a new milestone on my personal life. This is the first need where you would like to have an MBA. And why at the EMLYON? Because honestly, I saw that we were treated like it's a very customer-centric school, and we were treated like stars, like VIPs, like, what can I do for you? Does your employer have any expectations? Or does he need any information? What is his fears? And it's really interacting with us, not to bring you a gross information as per se that you can duplicate it on or find it on each website of each school, but to customize the answer to your needs. And the school at the EM, they were super willing to understand our needs and to answer to our needs, not to provide the same information to everyone. So it's a super customized service, I would say. And the very good surprise is that this will be your life within the 2 years. It's not only a trap or just to catch you up in the beginning and then you say, hey, now you are here, you have paid, goodbye, see you later at the graduation ceremony. And this is why I was saying, you see, we are laughing, both of us, me and Carlos, and it's a part of the network. Of course, I won't have a second MBA, hopefully in my life, I had enough, but it always will be a pleasure to meet Carlos and Svetlana and other people from the school, because we are now a family. And when he told me, for instance, for today, Asma, could you please free up 1.5 hours in our very challenging ideas? I say, you know what, Carlos, for you, I can do it. I don't know Zornitsa, but for you, of course, I will do it. And they will attend an extra 0.5 hour if needed. So this is what creates the synergy and the dynamic between people. And this is the most valuable thing you can get from it, I think.
It sounds really, really great. So for people who would like to apply, Carlos,
Yes.
when is the deadline and when is the next intake and what modes of the program are there?
At this moment, we are in the last official admission or application session. This one will be closing on the 12th of July. Right? And after that, we're going to have something called a rolling process, so in which every week we're going to be receiving applications, so basically until the first week of September, right? And we're going to be presenting applications to the admission board, right? So this current application session closing on the 12th of July, and the rolling process, all are in order to start this intake September, October 2021. Okay, the date of the intake is September 30. And yeah, an application needs to be done, of course, with a certain amount of time, so we can of course treat it, present it to the board, and for them to make a decision. There's one moment in the application in which you will need to record a video interview. Okay. And this is something that will be addressed by some members of the jury, and based on that and the file and basically a recommendation, somebody will be presented yet again to the board, either admitted or not, or requested for an interview, and we will be addressing that in a one-to-one basis. The first step of the application process is to have a conversation with me. I am the chosen one for that very task, and it's something I enjoy very much. And following this conversation, I will basically agree with the participant whether everything is in line, and it is of course worth to open the application rights for this applicant. Right, so I open the application rights, and then they will need to fulfill the application file. It's pretty straightforward, questions and answers, in which you will need also to let's say put in words and by written what is very important to us, which is what has to do with what is motivating the candidate, what they're expecting, and so on. Right. Once they fulfill this application file, in which they can upload the different supporting documents that we request, more importantly, the recommendation letters, the latest diploma, an English proficiency test, of course, depending on each candidate, because they can also be exempted from this requirement in certain circumstances. Okay, and then And then, of course, after that, they record this video interview. I can't remember if when you applied, Asma, you already had this requirement. Maybe not.
No, I had one.
You didn't do the video interview. No? Okay.
I was applying too late. Sorry, I'm not the right example to follow.
No. This is something we started working with a year and a half ago, something like that. We wanted to integrate this in the. We have been using this in the formación inicial for a while, and we decided to use it also for the executive development, and it's a very interesting thing, right? So it's a 12 questions video interview in which you respond in front of your camera to something like for something like 15 or 20 minutes. Okay, so questions that are not tricky, or they really turn around your profile or the participant or the candidate profile, and yeah, it's a bit of a complex exercise because you're in front of your camera and the questions appear in front of you one by one, but well, so that's the that's the way it goes. So this is the admission process. So once the first decision is made, or somebody can be either admitted or not admitted or requested for an interview. And if that is the case, if they are requested for an interview, they do an interview a couple of days after with a professor from the program, and an alumni. And after that, a final decision is reached. Of course, we understand this is a critical moment overall for internationals because they need to have an answer soon so they can engage in the with the visa processes and all that. And this is something, of course, we are helping with too. So it's important to consider the timing. Okay. But again, first step is always to have a chat with me.
All right, then if you have one recommendation or tip for applicants, what would it be? Especially for the interview.
It would depend. It would depend on every person, because every applicant is different. Every applicant comes from a completely well, sometimes, of course, have similar backgrounds. Of course, nonetheless, this is something very particular. We need to identify what is going to be important for each one of them to emphasize on. Right? For some participants, I can identify that they, let's say, have vast experience in management, but they might be not. They might be maybe a little too humble, and this is something that I would basically tell them not to be that humble. It's important not to put up from the fact that they have all this experience. And well, you name it. It really has. It's really in a one-to-one basis. And this is something I will be basically determining or realizing during this conversation that we would have, because it's a conversation that sometimes can last some like 40 minutes, sometimes can last for 2 hours. Depends. All right, but yeah, the recommendation is first to set an appointment and so we can have this chat. Of course, previously I make an analysis on the profiles, of course, what they have on LinkedIn, and then after that, we discuss.
All right, thanks, Carlos. So we learned why to apply for an EMBA at EMLYON, because it provides you with a very practical experience, very mind-opening one. It develops soft skills. It helps to develop a solid network, and basically gives you everything that you need for a career push. And we also learned what to do in order to apply. Maybe just Carlos, you can refer to to how people can contact you. I guess
yes.
All the details are available on the website, but just
absolutely. Yes, I'm going to leave my email address in the conversation. It's Lopez Bonilla with a double L at eml-yon.com. executive.com. Okay, so it's Lopez Bonilla at E for Ernest, M for Mom, L for Laura, executive.com. All right, and how can I give you my phone number as well? It's gonna type it here, you can have it.
There's something I didn't mention, but we are going to send to everyone who registered a follow-up email with a link to the video recording as well as the contact details of Carlos once again, so that you know whom to contact, how to get in touch with him.
I already put it to everyone visible, sorry, on the main list.
Thank you.
I put it on the chat because it was addressed only to me.
Thank you very much. And can I also leave my phone number? If I think it's going to be maybe easier. So my phone number is going to be sorry. All right. So it's going to be +33.
I can write it for you on the chat.
153 34 2362. Okay.
Sorry, +33.
Yes, +33 1 53
Okay.
34 23 64. Sorry, 62.
Oh, 62 at the end. Okay, so I will correct. Yeah, perfect.
Thank you, Carlos and Asma. I see that we're running out of time, so I have to say you a goodbye, but it was really a pleasure meeting you, and I think that the information and the insights that you shared were really helpful to our attendees to make the decision whether and when and how to apply to the EMBA at EMLYON. On behalf of the Unimai team, I'm wishing you all the best. Have a nice day and good luck in your career and academic development. And I hope to see you soon.
Thank you very much, Renita. And thank you again, Asma. And see you next week.
See you. Thanks.